Hey guys, welcome back to Inspire with Queen. In today's video, I really want to talk about why I love green smoothies. If you had me on WhatsApp, if you followed me on Twitter, if you just see me in the mall, I must probably be holding a green drink. And it's something that my friends were always asking me, my family were always asking me, like, why are you drinking that? Isn't that bitter? Like, why don't you buy a cool drink? You know? And like literally I'm like obsessed. Like I'm literally obsessed with the green smoothies, and it was probably like the randomest thing to talk about, but it's something that is very significant in my life. And I'd love to share that with you guys because it's something that did improve the quality of my life. So where does my green smoothie slash alkalinity story start? So in my second year, I started to become very obsessed with health. And primarily it's because when we're young, we say we are young and we don't have to, eat as healthy. Our bodies are strong, like we'll be able to resist anything, and that's what we say to ourselves. And what I began to realize is that, guys, you need to take care of your health. You need to take care of your health, and sometimes life forces you to. So as I was studying, I started to realize that I wasn't as energetic as I was in high school. I wasn't as clear-minded. I wasn't as focused, and I really didn't think it had anything to do with my health. I thought I was just distracted, or I was just doing things that just weren't aligned with what I wanted to achieve. So those were the things that were distracting me, that young lifestyle, and but I started to notice that I was just very tired, very tired. I had brain fog, I was always very all the time, and I was like, no man, I'm too young to be feeling like this. Like, there must be something wrong. And I remember going home for the holidays as a student and saying, yo, I need to go to a doctor. Like, I just don't feel my best. I know, your body when it's at its best, and when it's not. So I go to this first doctor, and this doctor's like to me, your vitals are fine. So they check everything, blood pressure, all of that stuff, and they like, no, you are fine. Like, but I'm like, I don't feel fine, so I think it was the year that my dad passed that I was like, okay, is this a psychological thing? Like, what's causing me to not feel my best? Like, I don't know what's going on. Is it an emotional thing? What's going on? So I had questions, and I would always ask people, and I would ask any doctor, any person. My mom and my brother are in health, so I try and find out from anyone, like, do you know what could be causing someone to have, brain fog, to always be tired or moody, or, they're like, oh no, you're just young, hormones. I'm like, no man, like, there are times in life that life will give you an opportunity to recognize that there's something wrong, and you have to take that opportunity and to say, you know what, let me investigate myself. So I go back to varsity, and what I begin to realize is that when I eat certain foods, I feel worse. So I'm like, okay, should I stop eating? Like, I can't stop eating. Like, there's something wrong in my body, and I just don't know what it is. So when I get back home again, I was on my mom's medical aid. So I go to the doctor again, and it's these consultations. They don't give me medication because they're like, you are as fit as a fiddle. Like, what are you complaining about? Like, live your life. And I meet this doctor, and I go to this doctor, and I tell him, I'm like, everybody tells me that I'm okay, but I just don't feel fine in my head, in my body, like, what's wrong? So he checks my vitals again, and he says everything is fine, and he says, I'm gonna write you a prescription. And I look at this prescription, and on this prescription literally is Bible verses on the one side, and on the other side is the healthiest foods, you know, but your fruits and vegetables, like the regular stuff, apples, bananas, pumpkin, spinach, you know. And I remember leaving that doctor's office, I'm like, this guy, this guy mustn't charge my medical aid, because how could you tell me like to buy vegetables, like, and I'll feel better, you know. But at the time I didn't realize that I wasn't eating healthy, I wasn't eating wholesome foods, because when you're studying, you're just trying to eat whatever's available to you at that time. So that can be fries, that can be a burger, that can be carbonated drinks, that can be anything. You know, you're just eating because, you know, you have to study, you have to, you know, do your assignments, you have to get stuff done. So you're just fueling your body with whatever's available, and sometimes whatever was available wasn't the best. So years of doing that to the body, you know, I could tell that like, so I go home, I'm a student, like everybody that has tried to go on some diet knows that eating healthy is not cheap, and eating healthy was not cheap, you guys. Like, so I go to my nearest, was it Spar? I think I went to Spar, and I had 200 rands, and I bought pumpkin, I bought brown rice, I bought chicken breasts, and I bought, what else did I buy? I can't remember. And I think beetroot as well, yeah, beets. And I was like, okay, for the first time in years, I'm going to get home and I'm going to cook myself a meal, you know, no extra anything, you know, just salt, pep, that's it. So I get home, and that's what I prepare for myself. I'm there, I'm cooking, everybody's wondering what's going on because Queen doesn't cook, and you know, and I'm cooking and I eat this food, and it's just simple, and I eat this food, and 20 minutes later I'm like, I feel a little bit better, guys. It wasn't like woo, like, but it was like okay, I feel better, like there's something that changed. Could there be some truth to what this doctor was talking about? So now this is a certified doctor, like MD, everything, like, and I'm like, could there be some truth to this? Like, what should I do, you know? So I did what I could do at the time. I bought myself some data and I googled. That's where I started with Google, and I was like, does food have an effect on physical health? And now looking back, it seems like a really stupid question to ask, because they always say you are what you eat, right? But then I'm young, I think I was 19. I just googled that, and obviously it's these WebMD articles, and they're talking about, yes it does, yes it does, yes it does. So the first suggestion I get is to drink more water. And I'm thinking, is that going to change my life? Like, are you really recommending me to drink more water? So what I do is I try and drink at least, it was like 5 glasses a day, because for me at that time that was a lot. As a student, you just reach for anything, cool drink, juice, whatever's sweet, whatever's fast, whatever works in that moment is what was convenient for me to literally stock up on water, and it was just a lot of work, right? So later on, as I began to cook this for myself every night, I began to realize, okay, this is working, this is working, this is working. And alkalinity came at a later stage. I remember I was watching one of my personal development webinars, and I came across Tony Robbins. And Tony Robbins was talking about the power of alkalinity. And he was talking about how the body, the blood, has to be slightly more alkaline than acidic, right? So Tony Robbins is a peak performance strategist that I look up to, and he was talking about energy and how you've never felt that level of energy in your life. If that video is still available on YouTube, I can link it down below in the description box. But he spoke about alkalinity, and your body can be acidic, it can be alkaline, and you have to be slightly more alkaline than acidic, right? And I never thought that it was a factor in my diet. And the number one thing that he was talking about was greens. He was talking about, are you having greens? Are you having more greens in your diet? Are you having more cucumbers, spinach, lettuce, avocado, kale? Are you having, because these are the foods that alkalize the body. So even if you're eating your meat, your lobster, whatever kind of meat you love, are you alkalizing on the side? And even when your body goes acidic, do you have certain remedies, certain methods, certain drinks that you take to restore the body's pH level? And I'm like, I've never heard this in my life. I've heard the whole you eat whole and you feel whole and you are what you eat. I've always heard that, but I've never heard that alkalinity has such a great impact on the human body. So at the time, I'm a student. Now I must go buy more green foods, and green food prices are there. And I'm like, yo, guys, like processed food is cheap. So this is really inconvenient. But because I don't know what's causing me all of these different symptoms, I'm going to have to do what I got to do. So what I did was I saved up. I remember I got a job, and I think it was a small tutoring job or something, and I saved up the money and I bought myself a blender because I didn't have a blender at school. So I would now buy myself these vegetables. So I'd buy myself some spinach, I'd get myself some chia seeds, some almond milk, some bananas, some fruits or Greek yogurt, and I would blend that all together, and that would be my way of getting my daily greens. Because I now realize that, Queen, in how many years you have not had a single vegetable? And I kid you not, guys, that first sip of that green smoothie, like I could feel like something was entering my body. Now I call it the zing. It's this feeling when you feel like, okay, all of these like nutrients are being absorbed into your body. And I remember feeling like, oh my gosh, feeling so weird. And I was like, oh my gosh, does my body even recognize vegetables? You know what I mean? Does it recognize greens? And every afternoon I would have a glass of warm water with a little bit of lemon, because maybe I had consumed like a really acidic diet throughout the day. So that's how I would start, with lemon slices and a green smoothie in the morning. And within a month, I was like, I have never felt this level of vitality in my life. And if I share this video with you guys, you'll notice that he speaks about how if you feel that level of energy and vitality, there is no going back. And I can tell you today, I had a green smoothie this morning. Like, I am addicted. My whole family is like, why are you holding that? I gave them just for a day, and they were like, you know what? I felt amazing. And it became a habit. It became something that I did. I could not live without a blender because it was the quickest way for me to consume those greens. And obviously I would pair that with other things like eating wholesome and whatnot. And it's not that you sacrifice everything. You can't have your pizza, your burger. You can, but before you give the body what it wants, you give the body what it needs. And I did not know what was wrong with my body, but I think I was just acidic. I think I was, for the longest time, because when I further researched my my theories, and I went to go see a nutritionist, I went to go see a dietitian, I went to go see a naturopath, and they were like, alkalinity has a huge impact on the body. If you are acidic, you can feel it. Brain fog, fatigue, you can't think clearly, you just don't feel your best. So my alkalinity journey started then, and it continued on. And whenever you see me at the mall in Mainland at Kwai, like, you're going to see me with a green drink, because I'm constantly trying to keep my body alkaline. And obviously this is not the solution to all things. And before you start anything, please consult your healthcare practitioner, one that's close to you. And obviously this is not medical advice, but for me, if you see me with these green things and I'm posting them and I'm talking about them, just know that Queen loves it, because there was a time in her life where she felt at her lowest, and I didn't know that it was linked to health. That's why when I started with Inspire with Queen, I was like, health is actually going to be such an important part of it, because I feel like that's when that's where it all began, because when I started to feel better, I started to think better, and I started to do better.